Welcome to Real Estate Talk with your host, Ken Sachs. This show is created for you, the consumer. Our goal is to empower you with information and education, thereby giving you the tools needed to make informed decisions when it comes to real estate. Real Estate Talk is brought to you in part by the Spokane Association of Realtors. Here's your host, Ken.
Well, hi, folks. Welcome to Real Estate Talk, and I'm your host, Ken Sachs, and we have another great and educational show for you this time. We're going to be talking about why sell my house during the holidays, during the winter. That makes no sense as a seller. Why would I do that? There's lots of reasons, and so that's what this show is going to be about. My guests today are Cindy Carrigan and Doc Nicolson with the 5-Star Group here in Spokane. Folks, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So why don't you introduce yourself here before we get into the topic?
Oh, sure. So I'm Cindy Carrigan with 5-Star Real Estate Group, lead listing agent, co-owner, along with Doc. And we just opened up a branch office of Keller Williams out in Spokane Valley. We have a team of about 25 people that work with us, and we're super excited to be here today.
Good. So let's get into it. So you guys, and this is, we go through this almost every year where we hear from our sellers, I'm going to wait until the spring. Nobody buys homes. Nobody's out looking for homes. We hear it all the time.
Yep.
So let's kind of start breaking that down and maybe busting myths, maybe, if you will. So
Sure.
What's the first reason? I'm a seller. Why should I sell now? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Well, the biggest reason is that inventory levels are so low during the winter because of that misconception of nobody buys a home during the winter, so why would I keep my house on the market? I'll just wait until spring. We hear that a lot. And
Yes.
we always are talking with our sellers about the advantages of being on the market or, just coming on the market newly, in the winter instead of waiting until spring because so much less competition. Our inventory levels are 20% less right now than they even were at this time last year.
Sure.
And almost 50% of the homes that have a for sale sign in the yard are already under contract. So there's not much for buyers to choose from right now, and that puts sellers at an advantage when they're on the market when everybody else is not.
Yeah, that's a big advantage, and I always say I wish I had a whiteboard here because my natural is to go to a whiteboard.
You and Doc.
Exactly. So, sellers, think about this. If you're on the market to sell your house, do you want a lot of competitors or do you want a small number of competitors? What would be better for you when you're trying to sell?
Right.
And what Cindy has pointed out is during the winter months, the holidays, during that time of year, there are fewer competitors, which for a seller makes it ideal for you to go on the market as a seller because you have fewer competitors.
Absolutely.
The buyers have less to choose from. So you're in a much better position to sell your house during this time of year.
Yep.
You hear, well, let's wait until March. That's what everybody's waiting for. They're all saying, I'm going to wait until March to put my house on the market.
Yep.
So I wait until March. Me and everybody else is putting their house on the market.
Right.
So we have far more competitors on the market in March. It's that simple.
Yep.
I don't know
True.
why. Where did sellers get that from? Is it just
I think it probably for
HGTV?
maybe just one of those pieces of fiction that's been floating around forever, and it could have been that when before the internet.
Oh, sure.
That actually was the case because you didn't have access to look at homes online back
That's right.
before everything was online.
That's right. And if
so-
everybody's saying it,
Right.
it must be true.
Yeah.
Or what comes up often when I'm doing this show, Well, my parents are telling me that nobody buys homes during the winter,
That's
so you're going to want to wait.
Right.
Oh, gosh. Okay. When was the last time you sold a house, Mom and Dad?
Yeah.
Well, I was on the phone today with somebody, 50 years. 50
Wow.
years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if they're telling me what it's like to buy and sell, really it's based on their experience, which in my case today with my example was 50 years ago. Internet?
Yeah, right, right. Yeah.
So good. So we have fewer competitors during the holidays, during the winter. That's perfect for a seller. Get the house on the market.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. All right, you're starting to convince me. Why else? Why else should I sell my house now?
Well, what we also see is that at this time of year, you've got a lot of people who are relocating to the area because of jobs.
You bet.
So end of year is a very common time for buyers, for people to be relocating and then buying a home in a new city. So also, it's when people have time off from
Yes.
work to go look at homes. People have a lot more time off now than they do, other times of the year. So it makes sense to have your home out there online when people are, done with their holiday party and
Yep.
they're just surfing online, to have your home be there as a possibility for them to go look at while they have time off of work.
Yeah, you bet. That's always. I always think of the story of my wife and I moving up here.
Yeah.
A long time ago, and we were traveling up here different times of the year to look at homes, and it was always during vacation.
Yep.
Because that's when we could leave where we were in California to come up here and look. And wintertime, wife being a teacher, they have a big chunk of time off.
Yep.
That's when we could get out and look at homes.
Yep.
So sellers, this is a time when there's a lot of folks coming here from other parts of the country. We hear about it all the time, coming from major metropolitan areas to smaller areas, smaller towns. But the only time they can get out and look at homes is during the holidays.
Yep. Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a misconception out there that when a seller puts their home on the market, they're giving up control of their house
Sure.
and everything that goes along with that. And they've got the holidays coming, they have family coming to town, they're making dinners and meals. They're in complete control. If they decide, you know what, we're going to take the house and we're just not going to allow showings for the few days we have family in town, that's fine. We don't need to make a decision to wait 3 months
Right.
when you're worried about 3 or 4 days. You are in control. You can say no. We can pause the market. We could pause the showings
Sure.
during those periods of time and still maximize the lack of supply
Sure.
and the increased demand.
And a lot more control sellers have because we just got done talking about the inventory's less.
Sure.
So buyers are more willing and more likely to work with the seller's schedule because I want to see that house. There aren't any others like it because there's no inventory. If I have to wait a day or have to wait until the evening, no problem.
Right.
Because I can work with you because I don't have anything else that I want to look at.
Right. There's nothing else to choose from right
That's
now.
right. So,
Absolutely.
boy, it's sounding better and better here thinking about selling my house. Okay, so we have out-of-town buyers coming in during the holidays. And what else? Why else should I sell my house? I'm still not quite convinced.
Yeah.
Well, when buyers get out to look at houses, it's an emotional decision, and we don't know exactly when that decision is going to happen. They could drive by a house and say, "Honey, stop the car. This is the house we need to take a look at," and we just want to make sure that opportunity is there for the seller when that happens. And when a buyer decides, let's take the next step and get pre-qualified and look at houses, that's a 10-minute, 15-minute phone conversation to a lender. Sellers, on the other hand, they want to maximize their ROI. They want to make it look as good as possible. They want to paint. They want to do some remodels to their house.
ROI.
ROI, return on investment.
Okay.
Let's invest a dime and net a dollar.
Okay.
Right? So that's part of the value we bring in meeting with our sellers early
Sure.
is to help them through that process. We always equate it to don't get a personal trainer when you're already in shape. Get them when you need them. Right, and the same with a realtor. Get them in before you make those remods and those upgrades, so we can help you through that process.
That's a great point.
And so in doing so, there's always this the first quarter of every year, and we're already there. We're only a couple weeks away, which is crazy.
It is crazy.
We have every year we have a cyclical shortage of inventory because buyers are already raising their hand saying, I'm ready. And sellers are like, hold, I've got 4 months worth of work to do, so come see me in May and June.
Right.
So there is always this natural shortage that we want to take advantage of as a seller. You know, my last house that I sold in March for that reason.
Right. That's a great point. So get your real estate professional in there as soon as you can, because what I'm hearing, Doc, is you can advise the seller on what needs to be done. And something I always think about these sellers, I see them spend money on things. Yeah. And it's like, no. There's not going to be any return on that investment.
Right.
Had you reached out to me or professionals like yourself first,
absolutely,
we could have given you good direction where you're not going to lose money. In fact, you're going to make money.
Right.
And yes, emotional. Let's not forget this is a very emotional business. There's a lot of emotions out there. And I always think about, I don't know if I ever told you the story, when, as I said, we were traveling up here and looking at a lot of homes throughout the year, and my wife and I walk into a house. We ultimately bought that house, but we walked in and my wife started crying.
Oh.
And I looked at the real estate broker and I said, buying signal, do you think?
So it was a good cry.
It was a good cry. She didn't get her finger jammed in the door. And so when emotional, I think of that story every time we walk in and she starts crying. I'm like, great, we've lost all our negotiating power here. Because, so it is an emotional business.
Yes.
It's emotional. People make decisions based on emotions. It's why I say I always sold commercial real estate in California, because there's no emotions.
You bet.
But with residential, there definitely is emotions.
And this time of year too, it's a great time for that, to take advantage of that with the Christmas decorations, the really, smells of cookies baking in the oven, or apple cider in the crock pot, things like that cause people to walk in and really fall in love because they have that feeling when they come into the house.
You bet.
So it's a great time to take advantage of that too.
Yeah, and you're kind of leading into what was next on our list during this time of year and the holidays.
Yeah.
What does the house look like?
Yeah.
So what's going on during the holidays? We're decorating. We have all our stuff out. It's the seasonal the seasonal decorations and all that stuff that gives you that good feeling when you walk in. Might that look attractive to a buyer looking to relocate, looking to buy a home?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, your house is looking as beautiful as it probably can look.
Right.
So that helps with those emotions that the buyers may feel that could result in them buying your house.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And even right now, when we're consulting with buyers, a big need that they have is they need room to entertain. Everybody's an entertainer now. So the great room concepts, to entertain and dining areas, because they want kids, grandchildren, generations to meet at their house, right? So if you can promote that in your marketing today by showing, the holiday season and what that looks like for a potential buyer, it's an emotional component that will trigger that.
That's right. Understand it and use it to your advantage.
Yeah,
sellers.
Exactly.
You betcha. Well, I'm getting the 20-second bug in my ear here. So my guests are Doc and Cindy with the 5-Star Real Estate Group here in Spokane. Their website, folks, is 5starspokane.com. And if you're thinking of selling, I'm going to give you a shortcut to their site that's all about selling your house, and that is sellyourspokanehome.com.
Yes.
So you are listening to Real Estate Talk. I'm your host, Ken Sachs. We'll be back with you in about 1 minute.
Well, this is nice.
Yeah.
That's real Brazilian walnut.
Yeah.
We know.
To help you be safe, Washington state law requires you to call 811 2 full business days before you plan, for example, to dig, drill, plow, pull from, or pound anything into the ground. Be prepared to provide the operator with the correct address, cross street, and the description of your work. You must mark the dig area with white paint. The operator will inform you of the utilities notified of your impending excavation. Wait for all their marks. Be safe and dig with care.
Hello there, Internet. My name is Braden Magruder, and I'm just coming out of the Spokane Talks building, and I'm excited to bring to you guys a new announcement that I am going to be the new host of the Youth Spotlight program. Now, our old host, Colin, he's off to Texas Christian University to pursue a degree in theater and broadcasting, and you know what? That's great for him, but that's what I like to call adulting. And you know, I don't think that we have time for adulting with the Youth Spotlight program. What the Youth Spotlight program is here to do is to bring to you guys news, the greatest news of some of the most amazing people here throughout Spokane that are, just going in high school, maybe about to go into college, you know. These people are achieving life's dreams and they are so young. And I think that these are stories that you guys should know about. And I'm so excited to be bringing them to you. Now, I'm a Spokane native myself. I've been performing throughout Spokane in various different shows. I just closed the show of Music Man, and, you know, I guess I like long walks on the beach, keeping my business attire, while also keeping my French fry socks on close at hand. You know, it's going to be a great year, and I'm so excited to be your guys' host. So tune into Youth Spotlight to watch me interview some of the most amazing people. Thank you and have a great day.
Welcome back again to Real Estate Talk with your host Ken Sachs, and again my guests Doc Nicolson and Cindy Carrigan with the 5-Star Group. And again, their information, if you want to reach out, 5starspokane.com is their website. Sellers, potential sellers, if you're kind of being convinced here listening to this and you want to get right to the good stuff, then go to sellyourspokanehome.com. Is that fair to say it that way?
Yes,
so we're talking about why would you sell your house, put your house on the market during the holidays, during this time of year being winter. Why would you do that? Because we talked about in the beginning of the show how we've both been in this business a long time, and we hear this about once a year during the holidays and during the winter. I'm going to wait. I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait until spring, or my house is on the market and I haven't sold it. Let's take it off for the winter and put it back on in the spring. And we have already busted a bunch of those myths here in the first half of our show, such as, well, gosh, if everybody's putting their house on the market in spring, now I have so many competitors, I'm fighting for attention from buyers. Versus during the holidays, the winter, I don't have as many competitors. I'm standing out loud and proud, and buyers are seeing me, and I'm getting a lot of attention. Use it to your advantage, sellers. We talked about out-of-town buyers, like my wife and I. When are we able to go look at homes? During the holidays, when we have vacation and we can get away. That's when buyers are out there looking, especially the dynamic we've been seeing in this appreciating market with cities that are within an area close to a major metropolitan area, the Seattles, the Los Angeleses, the Phoenixes of the country. Those folks we're seeing are starting to move away because of congestion, high price of homes. Las Vegas, they're moving away, whether it's inland or whether it's 3-4 hours away like we are from Seattle. We're seeing that dynamic occurring. So let's take advantage of their schedules and when they can get out and look at homes, and that is the winter and the holidays. And of course, we talked about how beautiful our homes tend to look during this time of year. We seem to take a little more time and put a little more effort because maybe the in-laws are coming, family, we're entertaining, like Doc said, we're all entertainers now. So let's take advantage of our house looking awesome and getting those emotions from the buyers, because buyers make emotional decisions. We make emotional decisions. So these are all things to take advantage of for sellers. So continuing on with that, okay, I'm a buyer, I'm getting a loan. What might happen with interest rates?
Well,
Well, chances are they're going to go up.
Good chance.
We've been so blessed the last few years with rates that some of us have never seen before.
And probably never see again.
Yes, exactly. So, for those of us that have been around for a few decades in this business, we want to take advantage of it while it's low. And it still is a great time to buy, and it's going to go up. And we're forecasting that it's going to go up next year. And understand, as a buyer, that affects your purchasing power.
Absolutely.
Right? Every increase in interest rate reduces the price range you can look in.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And that's the other factor when we look at the two most important factors in when it's a good time to sell is how cheap is that money, and that money's really cheap right now.
Right.
And the second is supply and demand, and you're seeing the lowest inventory than we've ever seen. So
that's right. Almost a perfect storm for a seller.
It is.
And we've had shows with lenders, and we've talked about what a lot of us refer to as purchasing power. And so, just think buyers. I'm talking to buyers now, where we're looking at homes, let's say $300,000. Now, if we see rates go up, like we're projecting after the first of the year, let's say rates go up a quarter point, a half a point, buyers, how would you feel now if instead of looking at $300,000 homes, we're looking at $270,000 homes? Right. Because let's not forget, and I had this conversation yesterday with someone, that buyers, are you approved on the purchase price or the monthly payment? And it's the payment. And so with that payment amount, now with rates going up, again, you're not going to be able to afford as much. That purchase power is going to be less. And so for sellers now, the other side of the equation, the buyers should be more motivated if they have a good realtor they're working with who can counsel them on this, should be more motivated, buyers should be, to pull the trigger now and buy the house now versus waiting until after the first of the year when we just said that rates are probably going to go up because you can't really get much lower.
Right.
When people say, well, I'm going to wait for rates to go down more, where do you think they'll go to zero? I mean, what are you thinking is going to happen with interest rates?
Yeah.
So buyers, you should be motivated to purchase now because with rates going up, you lose that purchase power. You're going to look at lower priced homes. Sellers should be motivated to sell now because the buyers are motivated to buy now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
It does.
Okay.
And if purchasing power is affected, that affects sellers' net.
Right.
The higher price range your buyers can buy in, the more demand there is. And as that price range diminishes, you have less pool of buyers in that higher price points.
That's right. That's right. This is great stuff. So, okay, so we talked about rates, but are the buyers even out there? I mean, there's snow, there's slush, there's rain. Why the heck would buyers be out looking at homes now?
Yeah. Well, right now it's the serious buyers, right? It's the people who are
Yes.
relocating. They need to buy a home. There's not much available for them to even rent right now. So, they're coming into town for a weekend and looking until they find that home, and they're making an offer before they go back.
That's what we did.
Yep. And so that's where you need to be online. And, that allows you also, even if somebody is in another city,
Yes.
like we see so many relocation buyers right now, when you have a strong internet presence, you have great photos and great virtual tours and video tours, then they may not even need to come and see your house.
Right.
They might make an offer from, Seattle or wherever they're at, and then come over after they make that offer. So it doesn't really matter what the weather is doing. What matters is having that presence so that buyers can find your home.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And I even with real estate brokers and realtors, I had this conversation with in a training type of scenario when they ask, well, gosh, who's going to be out looking to buy in inclement weather? And in the beginning, you said those that are serious.
Right.
Absolutely.
If I am out there dealing with the road hazards and the misery to some people of the cold and wet,
Yeah.
that's because I need to buy a house.
Right.
Absolutely.
So by walking into the house, you've almost qualified somebody just because they showed up. Because if they're
true.
not that motivated, they're probably not going to be out there.
Right.
So yes, there's buyers out there. They're the ones that are most motivated
Yeah.
to buy the house.
Yep.
And that motivation, the higher their motivation, the better it is for you sellers to be available to them, because their chances are you're going to sell for more money with fewer headaches in a shorter amount of time.
That's right.
And isn't that what sellers want?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's
Exactly.
good stuff. Good
Exactly.
stuff. Again, my guests here, Cindy Carrigan, Doc Nicolson, the 5-Star Group. We're talking about good stuff. 5starspokane.com if you want further information or to get a hold of them after the show. Okay, so let's see. We're continuing here. Something about online. You talked about online. We were talking before the show about, we used to see back in the day these kind of traditional swings, but now with the internet, how is that impacting maybe what my parents who last bought 50 years ago, like the conversation I had recently,
Yeah.
how might it be different now with the internet? Are we still seeing the same swings, or are we not swinging as much because the activity is still perhaps there because of the internet and the presence you were talking about?
Yeah, the internet's really neutralized that. We don't have the peak and valleys as much as we used to.
That's right.
Because there's no middleman between the information and the client at this point. Any client can go on and find all the data they want on a real estate market. And properties, when they hit the market, they're syndicated immediately.
Yes.
They have it at their fingertips immediately. That's not how it used to be.
Right.
So, now the markets are determined by a buyer's motivation, not necessarily what the real estate business and market in general thinks about what time frames are better to buy and sell. So we're definitely seeing just as many people are raising their hands with us today than do in June. We're not seeing a decrease in the amount of buyer interest. What we're seeing is buyers are having a hard time finding the house they want to purchase.
Sure.
That's what they're having a hard time for. So as a seller, you could raise your hand and have a lot of interest because there's a lot of buyers on deck looking for that right house right now.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So we're not seeing those swings that we saw pre-internet.
Right.
Because now buyers, they're on the internet. They're always on the internet.
Well, and the results show it. For us, year over year,
Yep.
December is our 5th largest closing month of the year, and January is our 6th. So, and that's the reality of our business. So, yes, I understand that there's less signs in the yard. Yes, I understand that there's this preconception out there of it's not a good time, but that's not the results we're seeing.
Right.
There are buyers out there.
That's a very good point. So we have about a minute left. We talked before the show about the shift happening. How is that important to me as a potential seller?
Yeah, well, what we're seeing in a lot of the major cities across the country is that the real estate market has slowed down. Sellers are taking longer to sell their home. They're having to reduce their price, selling for less than they would have a year ago
That's right.
had they been on the market. And so while we're not experiencing that here yet, we don't know when that's going to arrive.
That's right.
And the likelihood is that it will happen here. And so we just don't know when, but it makes sense to take advantage of the, lack of inventory, the record high average sales price in Spokane, to be able to get the house out there now versus waiting and then maybe taking less for it if the shift occurs in the next few months.
Yeah, you bet. So we have about 30 seconds left, but the point there is that these major metropolitan areas around the country are starting to see price drops. I think Seattle has had about 4 months of continuous price drops. That does trickle into the outlying areas, and so if you're in one of these outlying areas and you're still seeing a good market appreciating, prices are holding, just wait.
Yeah.
Because that wave, that trickle is going to make it to you. So do it now versus waiting. Because if you wait, again, we talked about you might be able to sell, you'll have to sell for less if that dynamic, that occurrence happens in your market. So, gosh, that went by quick.
Yes, it did.
We are at the end of our show. Again, my guests with the 5-star group here, Cindy Carrigan and Doc Nicolson. I'll throw their information out one more time, 5starspokane.com. Sellers, if you want to get right to the good stuff, go to sellyourspokanehome.com. Guys, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Ken.
We appreciate it.
And great information, folks. As always, appreciate you viewing and listening. Reach out anytime to Spokane Talks. And you've been listening to Real Estate Talks with your host, Ken Sachs. See you next time.
Real Estate Talk is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is solely responsible for its content. Ask Ken a question, recommend a guest, and watch this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com. Real Estate Talk is brought to you by our friends at Spokane Association of Realtors. We wish you a great day.